This is episode 279 of Zen and the Art of Real Estate Investing with my guest, Blake Rodgers. Blake is the co-founder and principal at Steel Peak. He's responsible for formalizing Steel Peak's investment strategy, overseeing leasing and leading acquisition efforts to aggregate a portfolio of industrial outdoor storage throughout the Western US. Blake, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into kind of a niche of an asset class that we've only had a few episodes on, but I know you didn't come from a real estate family. You didn't have necessarily a large interest growing up in real estate. So how did you end up in real estate and why?
Yeah, so I kind of got lucky and fell into it in college, which was
Mm,
good.
yeah.
Probably the best thing that happened to me in college. Didn't learn as much in the actual courses, but the social side of it that I got was awesome. So I kind of fell into joining the real estate like club or real estate society at my school
Oh,
because a lot of my
yeah.
buddies were in it.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to figure out what I was interested in. I played college football, actually. So my original goal was get a scholarship, go to
Yeah.
the NFL. And in college, didn't end up, doing as good as I wanted to. And so I was like, I got to figure out this business side of it.
Yeah.
And so I majored in business. I kind of got into real estate through the club at my school, got involved on the board. And then I was actually in charge of internships for that board. And the first
Yeah.
one that came in, I just took it. And
Yeah.
so my first ever job was as a commercial real estate broker, just kind of a intern for a boutique shop in San
Yeah.
Diego, where I'm based out of.
Can you go over a little bit more who your ideal tenants are? I know you said like loading or distributors or something who obviously need a lot of truck space, but who else fits the profile for tenants so you kind of know like, hey, this is our wheelhouse for who we're going to go to?
The tenant base in iOS is really kind of twofold. It's construction related tenants and then more trucking, transportation. And so we're a bit more focused on the like service related tenants, so more like contractor type guys.
Mm-hmm.
So any sort of construction company, the equipment rental guys are good, building materials groups,
Yeah.
groups that touch any form of like the utility providers or even the big utility providers in these cities we work with too. A lot of our tenants, like their clients are the government.
Yeah.
They're doing like a lot of public work too. So they're definitely like sticky in these locations and they have to have them because they have long-term contracts to go demo the bridge down the street and build a new bridge or a new freeway or whatever they're doing.
Right.
Like these are all those groups that come in to do those projects that are like 5 to 10 year big mega projects. So we're like tracking that type of stuff, but the tenants are mainly for us are more construction focused.
Yeah, it does seem ultra sticky and also unaffectable by AI, which is important. I mean, obviously, there's people building data centers. That's a kind of different thing. But these businesses are the type of businesses that aren't going anywhere. So you're not going to
Yeah.
have trouble with your tenants later on, which, the big con of large scale triple net one tenant is when the tenant leaves, you don't always have someone just lined up for it because it's specific. But if you have sticky tenants that are locked into government contracts, you're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, exactly. And the issue with the big box industrial warehouse buildings lately, as you know, is they just overbuild it whenever
Yeah.
there's a run up in the cycle. And whenever debt is zero, they just build as much as they can, right? And so now we're sitting on a bunch of vacancy for big industrial. For the stuff that I do, you can't really get this like approved to build in a lot of areas. Like cities
Yeah.
don't really want it because it's like no one wants like 1,000 trucks driving down the street.
Right.
So
Right.
it's definitely in like heavier areas. So supply is like going down. So that's why it's a really interesting kind of fundamental story there.
Well, so let's go into geography though, since it came up. You're sticking strictly to the West Coast, obviously, because you're out there. But is there something that's better about the West Coast for this type of iOS product in terms of weather or anything that makes it a little bit better to stay out there for you?
It's more so like a competitive advantage because we're already based out here and we
Yeah.
have a lot of relationships in these markets. And there's also a lot of the groups that started in this space came from the East Coast. And so they're all based out there. So they have a hometown advantage out there.
Yeah.
So it's a mixture of, less competition, more relationships. That's kind of why we're out here. We like the dynamics out here. Weather is also a good thing, but it also comes with maybe some regulatory stuff in like California or some of
Yeah.
these other markets. But yeah, we're Western US focused. So Denver West up to Seattle, down to San Diego. So all of SoCal. Um, and then we're buying these types of contractor yards that have, smaller buildings, large excess yards, up to really like 10 acres, like 1 to 10 acre sites.
Yeah.
It's kind of our sweet spot. So 3 million on the low end purchase price, up to 25, at least, really probably 25 is kind of where we top out. If sites
Mhm.
get too big, it's a little bit harder to lease them. It takes a little bit
Yeah.
longer. So and you got to break it up, maybe and lease it to a bunch of different tenants. That's really not our business.
Right. You
We
want
like
that
more
single tenant.
single tenant, yeah, smaller single tenant deals are what we're focused on. But and we're value add guys, so we're looking for stuff that we can add the value within like 2 years, ideally, at the max, maybe 3 years. So we're not trying to buy stuff that has existing lease terms with the current tenant that's longer than like 2 or 3 years out from expiring. So that's one major change. Like there's a lot of deals where they'll do a fresh 5-year lease on it and then they'll go try to sell it at like a stabilized return. We're not those guys. We're the guys that hopefully bought that and leased it to the guy and now we're selling
Yeah.
it to the
Right.
next guy.
Yeah.
So
It makes sense. I mean, those are if you talk Denver, Seattle, and then Cali, those are like differential weather markets. Does weather play a role at all for what you're looking at, or because you end up in a triple net lease, it doesn't really make a difference for you? I mean, of course, there's the fires, and then that's obviously big for California. But does it affect you at all in this type of asset class?
it's funny, like I was in Phoenix 2 days ago looking at sites and it was like 118 degrees and I'm walking around these like blacktop like yard sites, and it was like the hottest day of the year so far. And all of those warehouses have AC in them. If they don't have AC in them, it's like kind of an issue, right? But then you go to colder markets, maybe like Denver, and then those guys have heaters in their
Yeah.
warehouses.
Right.
And then you
Right.
go to California and there's neither. And
Right.
so there's things like that. And then drainage becomes a thing because like if you're in Seattle, heavy rain, like
Yeah. Yeah.
that becomes an issue. If there's snow, that's a whole different story. California's got all these regulations on like paving and gravel, and so there's
Everything.
so much nuance. But yeah, every market is its own kind of silo. But then there's still like a lot of similarities, like fundamental wise, like macro fundamentals
Yeah.
that work across the board, if you know what you're looking for. So, but it's specialized.
If you were talking to someone who wants to get into real estate, would you say that the path that you got on was advantageous? Because it's really interesting. As I said earlier, I think most people just kind of fall into like, hey, let me do a house hack and let me, get my, residential license and figure out what I'm going to do. But everyone quickly realizes, like you did, there's not really a tremendous amount of scale in there unless you get like really, really good, but it's still a different scale.
hmm hmm now that I look back, I'm like, wow, the route that I took, like, kind of ended up being perfect for where I am today. But I always tell people, I meet with a lot of younger guys and gals, and I like kind of like mentoring people and helping them get into, the space. And sometimes I wish I would have started at JLL, like in college, and I
Yeah.
would have had a little bit longer at JLL and just been, at one shop and learned and worked my way up quickly at a younger age. Hopped around to a couple boutique shops before that. And, but if you look back, the experience I got at the boutique shops, I was cold calling like crazy. And, at JLL, a lot of the times you don't have to cold call as much because
Yeah.
they have bigger accounts and they're servicing larger portfolios already. So bringing that cold calling experience and kind of like grindy, boutique experience to a bigger shop helped right when I got there, because I shot up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But part of me is like, just go to the big shop first, learn as much as you can, then go to the small shop for a little bit, because you get better splits, make as much money as you can, and start buying a couple deals a year at a small shop, or start your own company. And so you control your fate, and then you can start getting into the investment game. And then once you buy a couple deals and you understand it and you have a little bit of credibility, then you can go start raising more capital from friends, family, institutions, whatever it is. And you'll have a way easier time of raising that capital if you have a big JLL stamp on your resume too.
Yeah.
Because you've been there and you've been working with those groups already.